3, 2, 1. I'm keeping the countdown in here. That's how we're going to start this particular edition of the Mike and Molson Too Good for Radio podcast, as Johnny once again traveling this country of ours, but yet still has that dedication to ensure fresh content. That's what the internet's all about, right? Fresh content.
Keeping it fresh. Keeping it fresh.
Yeah, keeping it fresh. And throughout your travels, you're a veritable John Candy and Steve Martin in Planes, Trains, and Automobiles. One of the difficulties when flying by airplane is if it's an elongated flight and nature calls, there's no good way to take care of that business on an airplane bathroom. At least that's what I always thought. But there is this new article out about how to go number 2 on an airplane with dignity.
With dignity.
Yes, with dignity. Because you don't want to be the person who stinks up the plane for everybody. So here are some tips to take a deuce on a plane with dignity.
All right. Yeah.
All right. They say you got to time it right. They start out with time your lavatory visit. If you're going to take a while, there's a strategy to when you should use the lavatory. Don't go right after takeoff, right after the meal service, or right before landing when everyone else wants to go. The best time to go is right as the crew starts their service, since a cart will be blocking the aisle and passengers will be looking forward to the service.
Oh, that's a hell of a strategy. I like that.
Yeah, because no one's going to be getting up and walking around because they don't want to get in people's way. So just when they start the service, that's your cue to get up and take care of it and pinch it off. They say, furthermore, during that time, the flight attendants won't be in the galley observing. So, one, they're not around where the bathroom is, the flight attendants. Like, you don't hear their conversation and then maybe saying, God, that person's in there forever. And 2, you get the added bonus of not many people are going to be getting up because they don't want to try to get around the cart. So that's a pretty brilliant strategy.
I like that.
They say, alternatively, on a long-haul flight, wait until the service has concluded for around 30 minutes once everyone is settling in to relax. So that's tip number 1. That's a pretty damn good one. The second tip they have is to use the best restroom on the plane. They say this is for your own convenience rather than the convenience of others. Airplane bathrooms keep getting smaller and smaller. Typically, there's at least one larger bathroom on most planes, if not more. Do what you can to find it. They also said, furthermore, assuming you're on a bigger plane with several lavatories, go to one that's in the same area as others. That way, if a line forms, everyone won't be waiting just for you.
Oh, okay. Yeah. I got you.
So if you're going to be in there a lengthy amount of time, at least they have another one close, so you're not taking up the one particular bathroom that is, in that one area.
Man, I hate the standing in line. I feel bad for the people who are at the back of the plane or near one of the bathrooms, because there's just these butts and crotches surrounding people just waiting. It's like, you know what they're doing. Their stomach's grumbling and they're trying to get into the bathroom.
Yeah. Yeah, that's not great. You're right. I feel bad for those who have to sit next to the bathroom on the plane. Up next, they say now their tips are how to minimize the smell. They say you'll sometimes see crews put coffee bags in the lavatories, which are intended to minimize odors. I've seen some suggest you should ask a crew for a coffee bag before going into the bathroom. Personally, asking that sounds sort of horrifying to me, but there are ways you can minimize the smell. They say flush as soon as you, quote, go, and then again a couple of moments later. There's no shame in frequent flushing as long as you leave a clean and pleasant-smelling bathroom behind you.
I got you. The suction from those toilets just horrifies me. I don't know how there's anything left in the bathroom.
Right.
Because it just, I don't know what's going on with the air pressure, but it just disappears in moments.
It's like the black hole. You're afraid you may get sucked down there, too.
Yeah, I'm surprised I don't lose my pants.
Right. What happened is that you don't want to know.
Don't go in there.
Yeah, they also say when you're done, use a lot of soap when you wash your hands. Airlines typically have foaming soap, and you'd be surprised by how much a difference it can make in terms of the smell. They also say bring a toiletries bag with you into the lavatory as if you're brushing your teeth, and worst case scenario, spray some perfume or cologne.
Okay.
Don't go all in and Bath and Body Works on the place, but a spray or two will go a long way.
Right. I tried lighting a candle once, and for some reason they've got a problem with that. I don't know.
You're like, come on, I know it's no smoking, but this is a candle. Come on now.
Different.
Exactly. Yes. And then they go on to say how to leave the bathroom spotless. I don't know if that's your job.
No.
They say most of the airplane bathrooms use suction technology, so a spotless toilet bowl may be tougher to achieve than elsewhere, since the suction does a better job with liquids than solids.
That kind of spotless, I got you.
Yeah, they say, before you go, take one of the disposable toilet seat covers that's in the lavatory and line the inside of the toilet bowl with it. No, I am not doing that.
That's a lot of work.
That is way too much. You've already gone above and beyond. You've picked the correct time. You're going in the bathroom that's the least inconvenient for people, and you're leaving it smelling okay. Your job is done. I don't think you have any need to get it spotless for the next individual. They say, this works wonders. You'll thank me later, or maybe the person who uses the bathroom after you will. They said if there are any, quote, marks or toilet paper sticking to the side of the bowl, take a mouthwash cup, fill it with water, and pour it over whatever you're trying to remove. Adding a bit of water will make it go down much easier when you flush again.
See, I'm starting to, if there's this much, commotion going on in the restroom, I don't know that the flight attendant at some point is going to go, all right, what the hell is happening?
Yes.
You flush 7 times. I'm hearing you crinkle paper up there. You're swishing things around in the bowl with the I don't know, man. Something.
Are you smuggling drugs in there, sir? Because there's a lot going on.
Got to turn the plane around at some point.
Yes, exactly. They finally say, depending on how self-conscious you are, just take a paper towel and wipe the inside of the bowl as needed. No! It's not like there's water, and you should be able to avoid direct contact completely. Ugh. Then, of course, wipe down the sink area. By the time all is said and done, the lavatory should look more spotless than when you entered it. Here's the bottom line of this person who went way above and beyond when it comes to pooping on a plane. They say airline bathrooms have to be one of the least pleasant aspects of flying, as they're among the dirtiest bathrooms that many of us are forced to use. As a result, I think it's important that we try to be considerate of one another and clean up after ourselves to the best of our abilities. In some cases, it's pretty clear that people just don't care about the state they leave a bathroom in, while in other cases, I think people just don't know better. Hopefully, at least some people find the above tips to be useful. A majority of them, yes, timing of the bathroom, that kind of stuff, but there is no way in God's green earth that I am putting a paper liner in the toilet bowl or wiping it down with the paper towel afterwards. No, thank you.
I mean, I'm not the most frequent flyer in the world, but I'm on a plane, at least twice a month here and there, and I have never experienced anybody wreck a bathroom to the degree that you need all this commotion.
Right. Even on the international flight I went on, which was 14 hours to and from Japan, there was somebody who wrecked the bathroom, but even then, after about 4 minutes after they had, vacated the premises, everyone kind of went back to normal.
Speaking of Pooh, here on the aptly named Sex and Pooh podcast.
Correct.
From the Huffington Post, the nasty truth about Pooh Plumes.
Plumes, Plumes?
Plumes of Pooh.
Plumes of Pooh aplenty.
Yes. And this is from a book called The Germ Files and another one called Germ Code. And they're talking about the thing that I think we've known to some degree, but it's finally been scientifically proven, that when you flush your toilet and the lid is still up, that not everything goes down.
Oh, okay. Gotcha.
Right? And so this time scientists placed Petri dishes around a toilet and then shot a bunch of lasers all around to see exactly what was coming back up out.
Oh.
While the toilet's flushing and there's all that commotion going on in there.
Yeah, swishing around and everything else going on its own little water slide.
And sure enough, within six feet of the toilet, there were microbes growing.
No.
Yeah. According to the study that they did of the lasers, microbes from your poo can launch as high as 6 feet in the air and spray landing as far as 6 feet from the bowl.
They're like the fountains of the Bellagio there, your Pooh Plumes.
Think about a 6-foot radius from your toilet. That's pretty much the entire bathroom.
It is. That's the sink. That's the shower. That's everything else in between.
Yeah, it's the wall. It's the mirror. It's,
Ah.
I mean, if from the toilet itself to the ceiling, probably almost to the ceiling.
Good Lord. How do you combat the Pooh Plumes then?
Well, shut the lid. When you think of
Okay.
it from that perspective, then you start to begin to realize that when you're not closing the lid, what ends up happening is a plume of droplets that contains your poo particles getting onto things that are going to be touching your face and going inside your mouth.
Oh, God. Now all of a sudden I want to grab the toilet cover and put it inside the bowl like they said in the last one.
Oh my gosh, yeah, I want to go get saran wrap from the kitchen and just seal it.
Yeah.
They say if you keep the lid closed, you do end up with some plume shooting out the sides, but much, much less. So just make sure you're cleaning the floor around the toilet and I guess your shins too.
You don't want shin. What are you suffering from? Shin splints? No, shin poo plumes. That's what I'm suffering from.
What we need to worry about are biofilms, which are caused by bacteria in the water and often form as rings on our toilet bowls. They become very sticky, and that's where poop bacteria can accumulate.
Ugh. No one wants sticky poo plumes.
So that's the science has now confirmed that before you flush, shut the lid, and that way you won't be subject to the violent poo plumes flying out of your bowl.
I think now we need to. I understand why they have it for convenience sake in public restrooms, and I try my darndest my entire grown life to not go poo pluming on public toilets. But I think now they need to have lids on all public toilets.
Yeah, I agree.
Because 6 feet, that's flying out right into the urinal area.
It is, yeah. It's up and it's going over to the next stall, and I mean it's all over the place.
Yeah,
It's amazing.
Yeah, we need, you know what? We're starting a change.org petition you can follow for the Mike and Melissa Too Good for Radio podcast of get the lids on public toilet seats. That's the hill we're going to die on. That's our new crusade.
Or every public bathroom just has to have a crew of about 8 people ready to fly into action in hazmat suits. Get out of there. They come in. They just completely sanitize the thing, and then before anyone else can go in there, and just something's got to happen.
Yeah, something's got to give. Speaking of unsanitary conditions, let's go to Waukesha, Wisconsin, where a couple separated by nearly 40 years in age are facing a disorderly conduct charge for having sex in the Waukesha County Jail lobby. Now, first I thought that it was like a guard and an inmate within the county jail. But no, these are 2 free people, 28-year-old Desmond Cleveland and 67-year-old Karen Hill. According to the criminal complaint, a sheriff's deputy was dispatched to the Waukesha County Jail lobby on Thursday, May 2nd, for a possible disorderly conduct / lewd and lascivious call.
I love it when someone gets arrested for being lewd.
And lascivious, yes. It's a very fancy way to get arrested. The jail supervisor called to report 2 individuals had sex in the jail lobby, and that the female...
In the lobby?
Yeah, in the jail lobby. And the female, who was later identified as defendant Karen Hill, was still on the scene.
Smoking a cigarette?
Yeah, I assume so. The deputy was able to obtain video surveillance of the incident that happened around 3 a.m. that Thursday. It showed 2 individuals in the jail lobby engaged in sexual acts.
Good grief.
Yeah, here's where it gets good. The deputy contacted Hill, who indicated Cleveland was her boyfriend. So he's 28, she's 67, their boyfriend and girlfriend. They intended to hang out at a boarding house, but got locked out.
Okay.
They then walked to the jail lobby and took a nap. Defendant Hill did admit that they had sexual intercourse, and it was consensual.
Well, okay, yeah.
She says, I tried to cover us up best I could with articles of clothing so no one would see them, but apparently they were unsuccessful, and they've been dating for 5 years.
Adorable.
Yes, when he was 23 and she was 62.
You know, the spark still hasn't gone. I mean, they're still just as horny as they ever were.
5 years later, God,
Right.
and 67-year-old Karen Hill keeps it taut. She keeps her man coming back for that sweet 67-year-old loving. Now, when they question him, so she's still on the scene when the cops show up, and her alibi is, we're going to go to a boarding house. We got locked out. You know, one thing led to another. You know, the county jail building was open. We went in, gonna nap, but you know, and that's what he had to say when he was questioned. What happened? The complaint says he just stated, "quote Sex happens."
Yeah, I mean, that's, boy. You'd think they would. Obviously, if you're just cranked up enough that you gotta do it. You do what you do. You do what you got to do to get the deal done.
Yeah. By the way, he said he knew there were cameras, and he then asked, "Can I get a copy of the film?"
He's into that.
Yeah. What do you think their fine was, or their bond to get out of the Waukesha County Jail where they just boned in the first place?
Oh man. I mean, it's got to be at least $500.
It was $1,000. Their bond was $1,000 to do the old hibbity dibbity in the county jail lobby. Is that the most unromantic place you've ever heard anyone have sex in?
It really is.
God, I'd rather do it in this small little Mile High Club bathroom we just talked about, where people may or may not have put the toilet covering inside the toilet to cover their marks, let alone the county jail lobby. Gross.
The only thing that would be slightly more romantic than the county jail would have been the boarding house that they came from.
Right. Very true. That'd been a little bit more romantic. Maybe if they were in Calgary, Alberta, Canada, though, they could have actually partook in a sex party at someone's home, right?
I want to introduce you to Matthew Mills, who since 2010 has been hosting ethical non-monogamy sex parties.
God, he makes that sound so, like, clinical and just no fun at all. Hey, how'd you like to come to my ethical, non-whatever sex party?
Just say orgy.
Yeah, right, exactly. Don't try to clean it up there, dude.
I mean, just call it what it. I mean, it's fine. It's what it is. So every other week.
Every other week? What in the hell?
Hang on. Every other week, anywhere from 20 to 50 people would show up at his house for $30 each.
Oh.
And
who are these people that it needed every other week?
And the whole place would just like turn into this den of sin. So about 5 years after this started, the neighbors start to complain to the city.
5 years? That's Canadian for you to be that nice.
And he was served with a stop order, but then he went to the high court, and he said, according to the land use bylaw, it does prohibit social organizations from setting up shop in residential homes, but they could continue doing it provided he didn't call it a sex club.
That's all that stopped them. It's just like, can't call it a sex club.
So it can't be like an organized thing. If 50 people just happen to show up and have sex at your house, and they happen to give you $30 to do it, that's fine. But you can't call it like an organized thing.
You can't put up flyers.
Yeah. His lawyer argued that it's my client's right to freedom of conscience, peaceful assembly, and association, and that violated the city's order. Essentially, Mills asserts that land use planning has no place in the bedrooms of the nation. The judge issued a 29-page ruling last week.
Yeah, how do you get 29 pages out of this?
And he ruled that the bylaw did not infringe on his rights. The judge found the city is entitled to limit the use of residential homes, but at the same time they can't prohibit what you do in your bedroom. So they just said, yeah, you can't call it a sex party or an orgy or an ethical non-monogamy soiree, but if a group of people happen to show up at your house for a party and you all get naked and have sex, it's none of the city's business.
Which is not incorrect, but still inconvenient for your neighbors.
The judge writes,
Personal sexual expression in all its many splendored forms is a fundamental aspect of human life, experience, and fulfillment.
That is the most Canadian way to describe an orgy I've ever heard.
Yeah.
They're gross.
Please, they can continue to have parties at his house, and that the law has been clarified, according to the attorney.
Good Lord. Can you imagine if they show up on the wrong week, though? Hey, we're here for the ethical whatever part. Oh, sorry. Today's just the barbecue. My apologies.
Sorry, it takes an entire week to clean up, so we can't come. You have to come back next week.
Oh, God, yeah. Ugh. So, well, good on him, I guess. And by the way, paying $30 to be a part of that? No, thank you. No, thank you on any part of that. I don't want any part of this either. This comes to us from the wonderful state of Florida. We have an individual there where this guy attacked his girlfriend with a pink dildo. He's now been sentenced to 8 months in jail. Apparently, the two got into an argument after the victim called him a limp dick who needed Viagra. So they're getting ready to go at it. They're having a row, and she says, "Hey, limp dick, you need Viagra." And that's when he goes, "I'll show you, limp dick," and grabbed her sex toy and then proceeded to hit her over the head with it. He was arrested and ordered to not have any contact with the victim. However, he broke that a month after the arrest and tried to contact her through text messages, Facebook, Snapchat, and TikTok. What, is he sending a TikTok video? Please take me back, baby. I texted for my free Nugenics from the Mike and Molson Too Good for Radio podcast. I'm ready to go.
How much of a dildo beating do you have to take before you say, you know what, I think this relationship is over?
I think the first dildo beating is probably enough to say this isn't going real well.
Yeah, even if she like throws it from across the room and it smacks you in the back of the head, it's like, you know what? No, we're not doing that.
No. And how many? This can't be the first time. Is the first time that someone calls you limp dick when you immediately go to the dildo beating, or is it 3 or 4 times? Like, what's your limit of limp dickness being called before you go, I'm going to hit you with this dildo?
Yeah, I don't know. This is not a scenario I've been involved in.
Nor would I ever want to be. He's now 8 months in jail. He was fined $920 and ordered not to have any contact with the victim. And oh, by the way, he had to replace her dildo as well.
Wow. Boy, he really, the law was not on his side on that one. My goodness.
No, not at all. Not at all. We have a woman scorned, don't we? Well, not woman scorned, but a situation that is much worse than a dildo beating, I think.
I think she was scorned. I'm not entirely sure what happened here, but apparently it began with a potent strain of marijuana. And she completely lost her mind. She was found guilty of involuntary manslaughter.
Yeesh.
And what happened was she killed her boyfriend by stabbing him 108 times with multiple knives.
Good Lord. Got to switch it out like you're playing golf or something? Like, no, this stabbing needs to be a good 7-iron. I was pretty good off the tee with the driver knife. Now I need to chip it up there on the green.
She's acknowledging this, and the state refers to this as they agreed she was acutely psychotic during a bout of ultraviolence, which sounds like something that happens in a video game.
It really does. Like, you've unlocked ultraviolence stage.
Ultraviolence.
Sweet. Here we go. I'm going to just wreck shop now. Take that, Kirby.
Kill, punch.
Yeah,
punch.
Right, exactly. Mortality. Fatality, I should say.
So she was sentenced to... I remember that. Multiple knives, killed her boyfriend with 108 stabs on this psychotic rage induced by some high strain of marijuana. She was sentenced to 2 years of probation and 100 hours of community service.
Wait, whoa. Back that train up for a moment.
Can you believe that?
First of all, what kind of strain of marijuana is this? And I never want to be any part of it because marijuana, for the most part, not that I've partaken in it, but seems it should mellow you out instead of make you into ultraviolet mode. And also...
Ultraviolence.
Yeah, violence, not ultraviolet. Ultraviolence. Ultraviolet mode would mean that she would make sure he had no germs on him anymore.
Right, and they sit and listen to Prince albums.
Right, exactly. I love this ultraviolet. But yeah, 108 stabbings, even if it is drug-induced, is still a dead body, and multiple stabbings and knives about, I don't know, 98 more stabbings than should humanly be done to someone, and you're only getting probation?
Yeah, I mean that's. I mean, I get that they ruled that it was involuntary manslaughter. Obviously, something happened that set her off into this crazed, psychotic. Ultra violent, Mike. Ultra
violent. Yes.
But a couple of years probation and 100 hours community service seems like she skated pretty well there.
Yeah, it really does. When they ask you, like, can you, and not even like house arrest or anything, just probation. Just got to check in. Have you stabbed anyone 108 times a day? No. Any weed? No. Okay. Keep on living your life, you.
I mean, I don't know. People have crashed their cars to the front of a flower shop and gotten more time than that.
Very true. All they did was confuse the gas and the brake pedal, and this lady confused her boyfriend as a butcher block. I got to switch knives. It's not fitting in right. Got to make sure I get it in just right. There. Now it looks right. Good.
If you're wondering what kind of ultra-violent murder you can get away with, or at least skate pretty easily with, it's that. It's that.
When does the podcast about that crime come out? Like, we're not going to go to full. We're not going to do the full deep dive on it. But whatever podcast does take this story and runs with it, we would like some of your ad revenue from ZipRecruiter.
I'm tuning into that.
Yes, I am as well. And finally, on the Mike and Molson Too Good for Radio podcast, this wasn't a stabbing, as more of a carving that transpired over in Russia, right?
Vladimir Putin, who you think is busy trying to take over other countries and kill his people who are his political enemies, apparently had time to go on a deer hunting trip with Silvio Berlusconi.
Okay, first of all,
Berlusconi, the Italian prime minister, the former Italian prime minister.
Now, let me ask you this. All right. If Putin asks you, even if you're a friend of Putin, and he asks you, hey, why don't we go on hunting trip? Don't you immediately say no? You know what happens in that particular instance. You're going to be the one that's being hunted.
Apparently, during this hunting trip, Putin shoots a deer, and like out of a Raiders of the Lost Ark movie, he then reaches into the deer, pulls out its heart, and hands it over to the former Italian prime minister.
He did the Colombe guy? He went full Temple of Doom? Good Lord.
He said he pulled the heart out, gave it to one of his security team to present to Berlusconi, reportedly telling his friend it would make an excellent meal. Berlusconi then promptly went behind a tree and threw up.
Which is the correct response when you see someone grab a heart out of an animal, even though the animal's dead, and say, here, it'd make good meal. Eat now.
And this was the former Italian prime minister that was having all those crazy sex party scandals. Probably flying over to Canada every other week.
Right. Why there's so many flights to Canada? You pay no mind.
Yeah. He apparently had a long-running friendship with Putin. On his 86th birthday, while the Ukraine war raged, Putin sent Berlusconi best wishes and vodka, and the Italian boasted he returned the favor by sending him back Italian wine, and no more deer hearts were exchanged.
Here's the thing. You can't say no to that in that moment, right? You have to take the deer heart. You're out in the middle of nowhere with Vladimir Putin, who has just gone full Temple of Doom, ripped the heart out of an animal, turns to you and says, here, make good meal. You have to take it.
Yeah, I'm glad Putin didn't see him throwing up behind the tree, because that does sound like an offense where he would slip him some radioactive material and let him die a painful death in a jail. Yeah,
just make good meal. Let me put seasoning on it first, and then you cook up deer heart and ingest. And we maybe see you next week at the Calgary house. We're not sure. Good Lord.
Why is every other country weird? This is why people walk around going, we're number one, because you look around the world and you go, what's happening?
Yes, here in America, we just have sex in jail lobbies. We don't do anything crazy like, having the weird sex parties. We just walk into a random county jail at 3 a.m. and bone the hell out of our 67-year-old girlfriend.
The way George Washington would have.
Right, exactly. I cannot tell a lie. I railed that 67-year-old Martha real good. That'll do it for this edition of the Mike and Wilson Too Good for Radio podcast. Remember, it's Mother's Day this coming weekend, so text 321 and get your free Viagra because she'll like it too.